Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is September 12th, 1615, 6 p.m. local time. Barbados. Sugar plantations in the Caribbean have increased its production exponentially in the last decade. Increased transfer of slaves as labor sources are growing more and more in a period where triangular trade connects European, African, and Caribbean resources in a global market economy. The cultivation of sugar is more profitable on islands because of the sugar's heavy weight relative to its value, making transport with ships across the Atlantic a lot more profitable than transport by land. Additionally, controlling slaves on islands is a lot easier than controlling slaves on mainland, where escape options are a lot higher. African slaves are the primary producers of this great sugar economy, and as Europe needs more sugar, the triangular trade system simply exports more luxury goods to Africa in exchange for slaves, brought to the Caribbean. Slaves then are traded for sugar, brought back home to Europe, creating an effective cycle of demand and supply. Now we will go to Francisco Martinez for today's Day in Trade segment. Francisco, can you hear me?
Hello Lucas, yeah, I'm here with a Spanish merchant named Rusden. He's here to give us a back-end look at how our economy runs.
Yes, thank you. Sugar is a cash crop, meaning that it's sold for purely an economic motive. Sugar is one of the raw materials that is traded in the Columbian Exchange. A network of raw materials, manufactured goods, and slaves are cycled in an efficient system. And so I send this Caribbean sugar to the British colonies in Europe, where my sugar is often processed into rum. In return, I receive slaves, ivory, and other exotic materials, just for trading sugar.
By what means do you gain the capital necessary for a valid contract between two opposing parties?
So my business spans across the Atlantic Ocean, and so a lot of this capital comes from the European entities that fund me, and they allow me to trade slaves for European goods. And as I said before, these often go towards things like sugar, where I can, complete my trading in Europe again. It's a tremendously profitable business, and sometimes I even head up the colonies to gain extra profit.
So, what problems do you see with this current system?
So one of the problems I see with this current system is that the Crown is forcing the farmers to grow cash crop for money. People have had to give up subsistence farming, meaning farming oriented more towards food supply, and that's causing native populations to die out. And this forces us to ramp up the importation of labor sources, via African slaves. And we need someone to make. And so this is quite an issue that we need to resolve.
Thank you, Francisco. We'll be right back after a short break.
Do you like money? Do you want to get rich fast? Do you want to earn hella bread? Well, come to Hispaniola. Beautiful beaches, great year-round weather. Hispaniola has it all. Come today, you'll get a free 50 acres along with 10 slaves and some sugar to get you started. Hispaniola is recruiting people today. Free land, beautiful beaches, everything's here. It's a dream. Come now.
Welcome back. I'm currently hearing that there is a breaking news story. Sounds like Hurricane San Leoncio has struck the islands of Barbados and Hispaniola and made landfall. Reporter Gregory Moore has local updates. Good evening, Greg. Hello? Hello? Gregory?
Good evening, Lucas. I'm reporting from the neighboring island of Hispaniola, where just yesterday Hurricane San Leoncio made landfall. The strong winds caused the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista to collapse, as well as the destruction of the sugar crops, the primary industry of this island. Residents and local merchants describe a great storm of water and air crashing houses and wood of some of the stone, leaving others without doors and windows. The storm hit the countryside with similar damage, and some deaths and injuries to persons were reported. It isolated and destroyed cassava and sugarcane. I'm here with Ved of the El Pollo plantation, which was damaged in the storm, to learn more about the damage to his property that was incurred in the storm.
My sugar plantation lost about 2/3 of my crops, and several of my slaves also ran away due to the overseers fleeing to shelter. Even worse, not only did the storm damage a lot of my crops, but ships and ports are damaged, so I'm not able to sell any of my sugar to the market. We haven't been able to communicate with merchants since no one is able to anchor here. So I'm stuck with tons of sugar being pillaged by ants. Because of the transformation of food crops to cash crop fields, we are very limited on food and are dealing with starvation of slaves, natives, and even landowners. We are in desperate need of food and we have no food crops.
That sounds really bad. Is there anything that you want people watching this broadcast to know about your guys' situation on Hispaniola?
Well, if any merchants are watching, please consider porting at Hispaniola as soon as possible, because I got sugar willing to trade for really cheap. I need food and slaves bad, but I need to feed my family something other than sugar, of course. It's not as if I can get any natives to work, since most of them escaped or died from sickness and starvation. That's why we needed slaves to begin with. And the crown still has the audacity to ask me for sugar? I don't have anything. Maybe you can help me out.
Thank you very much for your time, Bet. I hope the situation improves. Back to you, Lucas, in the studio.
Thank you. We'll be back.